What's going on, Jerome? So the Minnesota Vikings were at OTAs this week, the final OTA before next week's mandatory minicamp, and then the blessed 5 to 6 weeks of vacation, actually a true vacation for players and staff before the start of training camp at the end of July, before we do the damn thing again. Hoist at Jerome Barty at the end of the season. It's going to be good. Now, I got some news and notes, again, compiled from a lot of the local beat writers. They've been doing great, fantastic work, but this is some of the headlines that have been going around. JJ, Daniil, Dalvin still missing, so obviously all of them are contract related. JJ, we'll see what happens. We're next week mandatory minicamp. If Dalvin is still on the roster, does he show up? Probably not. I do think that JJ and Daniil maybe will show up, although Daniil does deserve a new contract, and the Vikings need to extend or trade or rework his deal. JJ obviously is going to get taken care of as the highest paid receiver in National Football League history. It's just a matter of crossing the T's and dotting the lowercase J's. Josh Metellus, fourth-year safety out of Michigan, has been all over the place in Brian Flores' defense, where he's played split safety, box, nickel, a linebacker. Basically, they're just using him as a joker player, and I'm all for it, man. Where Metellus, when he got on the field last year, especially in the Lions game early on, he made some fantastic plays, and he's been a great special teams player. He was voted a team captain towards the end of last season for a reason, and I think that he does have a chance to shine in a contract year and really show his worth. And we've talked about Flores uses multiple safeties. I think that that's going to incorporate Metellus. That's going to incorporate Cam Beasley, Harrison Smith, as well as Lewis Seen, who we'll get to in a second. So I think that, Flores always stretched of versatility is key. Metellus can be that guy. He can be a small linebacker. He can be a large safety. He can cover in the slot. He was operating from the slot last season as well towards the end of the year. So I'm really excited to see what 44 is going to bring this year. Wes Phillips addressed the local media jackals, really hyped up the running back room, where the Vikings probably aren't going to have Dalvin this year. I think that he probably will be traded, but Phillips really talked up the abilities of Madison to be a three-down back, as well as Ty Chandler, Kinkenny. Dwayne McBride is going to get in the mix as well, since he is inked up and likely off of injury now. So I think that Phillips likes what they have there. Also, he's talking about Josh Oliver just being a huge individual. Where it's true. I mean, if you see Josh Oliver lined up, or next to all the other tight ends, like at the Wild game or whatever, Josh Oliver looks like a power forward. He really does. He's just a mammoth of a man. We'll get into Josh Oliver here in a sec. But Greg Joseph also nails, and I feel like. This is anecdotal, but I feel like Greg Joseph, whenever there's competition in camp, this year he's got a UDFA in there with him, he always steps it up. Whether it be Gabe Burkich from back in the day or Riley Patterson or whatever, Joseph, when there's competition, he nails it. And when there's not, maybe he gets a little bit too comfortable. Flores talked about not wanting to overload the defenses with too many looks and stuff, so simplifying the attack. I think that obviously that's going to expand down the line, but getting guys comfortable in the scheme makes a lot of sense. Where maybe one of the reasons why the Vikings were playing so vanilla last year was because they were transitioning from a 4-3 to a 3-4. I'm not excusing Donatel's coordination of the defense last year at all, but that could be a reason. But simplified defenses allows players to play faster because they know their role and they're going to get after things, and they can be more aggressive and they can make plays. And I think that's going to be a smart thing to do. Josh Oliver more than a blocker. So Hockenson been off to the side, working with a minor injury. The Vikings, of course, been very, very cautious with injuries, especially at OTAs. But Josh Oliver in there working with the ones, and he does have great hands. I mean, he was a third-round pick coming out of San Jose State for a reason, and obviously with the Ravens, didn't get the time of day because you're working behind Mark Andrews, one of the better receiving tight ends in the game. But Oliver, I think that, when the Vikings run that 12 personnel, especially in the red area, I think Oliver's going to get a lot of work. I think he's going to surprise a lot of people. And I don't think the Vikings overpaid when they gave him a 3-year, $21 million deal. Nick Mullins right now is clearly the QB2. Jaron Hall is a project. There's some talk about them working on his mechanics as well. So Mullins is a perfectly capable veteran backup quarterback, and I'm glad that he's on the rooster. I do like Jaron Hall's potential, but of course this is the first OTAs of his first season, right? So obviously things aren't going to happen overnight, but we'll see once things start opening up in training camp and as we get into preseason as well. Also, they're bringing along Lewis Cine slowly, where he's still working exclusively with the twos. But, of course, he looks good. That leg is ready to rock and roll. And I think as you get into camp and preseason, you're going to see Cine incorporate a lot more with the starting defense. And it isn't so much like, well, Lewis Cine is a bust and all that stuff. I think that his role specifically is that to replace Harrison Smith. I think that Harrison and Lewis Cine's games are very close. I think that incorporating Cam Bynum versus Lewis Cine, because they're two different types of safeties. Bynum more of a free safety, Cine more of a hybrid, more of a strong safety. So I think it's less a aspersion as Cine versus just bringing him along, having him learn the new defense, making sure that leg is good to go before unleashing. And we'll see. Also, Ben Elfson, we talked about yesterday, the retired tight end, hung him up at 26 due to various injuries, but he's been added to the staff in what Kevin O'Connell's calling a hybrid type role, both coaching and scouting and player engagement, etc. So that's it. That's what's been going on at Vikings OTAs this week. Let us know your thoughts and our thoughts in the comment section below. Subscribe for daily Vikings takes. Small support the work. Put a little something in the Venmo. But till next time, Skull Production Value.